Monthly meeting, October 6, 2025. Call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock p.m. And ask our clerk if you'll call the roll, please.
King.
Here.
Lawrence.
Here.
G. Mathers.
Here.
M. Mathers. Here. Piper. Here. Denman.
Here.
Steers.
Here.
Okay, thank you all trustees present. Now if you would, please stand and join me in saying the pledge of allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a big crowd tonight. Glad to see everyone. Welcome everyone here. First item on the agenda, number 2 there, approval of our agenda.
I have a question. I'd like to propose something when we get to the manager search. Do I need to change the agenda to talk about that? It directly is with the manager search.
I think it could probably wait for that item.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And then I just have one question about, it's kind of in between the first wastewater bill and the wastewater plant. Where would you like me to ask that question?
Probably during the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, motion by trustee Lawrence, supported by trustee Piper to approve the agenda as presented. Questions, comments? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say no. Motion carries. Next, pages 3 to 5, our regular meeting from 9/15/25. Additions, corrections?
I'll make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of 9/15/2025 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lawrence, supported by trustee M. Mathers to accept the regular meeting minutes of 9/15/25 as presented. Any further comments, questions? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed no. Motion carries. Next, pages 6 to 23, payment of our bills.
Yeah, let's do that next month.
Okay. Got a motion?
We need a little cash in the bank.
Kathy?
Can I ask questions?
Yes.
Okay. The wastewater treatment bill from Three Rivers. We have 2 of them. We have one for July and one for August.
Yes.
And on page 6, we are paying Three Rivers 6.82 per 100 cubic feet for its July wastewater treatment. And on for August, we are paying them 8.80 per 100 cubic feet. Did we ever find out why it varies like that?
Well, yes, I can find out why, but typically they, 1 month they'll do more tests than the next.
I don't think this has anything to do with the test, because test fees they went up again. We're on page 8. It's it might be the solid waste, I'm not sure what it means, but I think I'm gonna call Three Rivers, see if I can get an answer myself, because I know the secretary up there, and she can probably help me with that.
That worked for me.
So on these, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it pertains to this, I've been told that we have multiple, runoff water, sewer, or drains that are going to our sewer. Is that typical? Cause I didn't think that was typical to have like your rainwater go into your sewer. just from the road that goes into the drains there
Okay.
on the roads. That all then goes into the sewer and should just go into a gray water runoff, shouldn't it? Because that would increase our total amount of gallons that would go use every month.
Increase the volume.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've never run a wastewater treatment plant before, so I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check with Joe Benjamin about that.
Because I've been told that, especially when it's raining, the people that run the plant in Three Rivers can see double the discharge just from that rainwater that we're then pumping to Three Rivers.
No. Okay. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say no. All they're talking about is there's a possibility of infiltration that's making it to Three Rivers. And there's not really a whole lot we can do about that. That's
No, I'm talking a couple, and it's a sewer system company that we use that we've had to pump out the holes and stuff, that those pipes are connected to our sewer pipes and they shouldn't be.
I'll check on that, and my off-the-cuff response is, I don't think so, but it's a worthwhile question for them.
Have we ever, so I guess my question would be this. So I got a rainwater drain from my house, across the street from my house.
Okay.
Are all those, do all those go to one location? Or do they go to multiple? Where do they come out at?
Well, if they're making it to the,
If it rains, I mean, okay, so it starts pouring out rain, 1,000 gallons of water goes down the drain from my house, where does it come out at?
if it makes it to the sewer line, it comes out in the sewer. That's where it goes.
All the rainwater goes in our sewer?
No, I'm just saying that which makes it to the sewer line. If it infiltrates the water, the sewer line,
Let's say it doesn't do that though, and where does it go, where does the water go that it doesn't? Does it come out somewhere in the river? I've always kind of wondered where it goes.
Goes back into our water table. It's supposed to just into a pit, but then flows into the ground
how do
because
we
it's
answer
not.
that question?
I
That's a
mean,
good
it
question.
might be a good idea maybe that we figure out a way to test them and just see where they're going. Because he's right, we don't want all that rainwater going into our sewer plant, right?
Well, I agree with that.
That would increase
But
it.
I think that which is removed by, the drains, probably makes it to the river.
I'd just like to know,
But
if I've never really taken the time to check and see where it goes.
I'll ask, I
And
will
see
ask you.
if, see if we have some that aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
So that's what I was told, that there's about 90% that are the right way, and there's about 4 or 5 that for years have just always went.
Like I say, I know that if it infiltrates the sewer main, it goes to our sewer. There's no place else for it to go. And it does that through cracks and so forth in the sewer main. It sounds like I'm talking about elementary school, yeah, I don't mean to sound that way, but, if it doesn't make it, if it doesn't infiltrate the collection place, then I think it's just discharged to the river. But I will ask that.
Thank you.
To be sure.
Who is responsible for cleaning out the drains? The water, the drains that has the big gate over the top of them?
The sewer, the
The
water.
road runoff water.
Yeah.
That's the president pro tem takes care of that.
I'll get right out there tomorrow.
Well, in my
Now
neighborhood,
I know.
I'm on it.
since I've lived in my house, I've done mine, because they never did it. I always did mine.
Well, the one out in front of my house on the corner of Prospect and Depot is filled with, I mow over it because it's just grass there. Larry doesn't mow over it, so sometimes it gets that hot, and so I just mow over it, but it's full of stuff.
And they get, DPW does get out and clean those drains. Cleans the debris off of the drain. But, unless they know about it, and I know they drive around and look for those things, but unless they know about it, they're not cleaned off.
I'll go out and do it tomorrow.
I'll be quiet.
All right, moving on, I have a couple more questions. Page 12 at the bottom is Denver Electric Power Supply for $3,200.
big enough.
Well,
Probably.
bottom one. Bender Electric, it just says power supplies.
Yeah, that's all it said on the bill was as quoted for power supplies. Was that over at the, that wouldn't have been for the wastewater treatment plant, right? They didn't have to do anything over there to finish that part up, did they?
Right. I know that we had, a power failure, but didn't Marcus, I asked Marcus about that, Bill, and I thought he spoke with you about it.
I don't remember being talked to about it.
The best I can tell you is I will check on that, but I did ask Marcus about it one day, and we came in later that day and talked to Crystal, and I thought that was what they had spoken about.
It seems like a few meetings ago, we had another one for Bender Electric for, I can't remember, was it a motor or something? I don't know if it related to the same. To ask about that too. Page 16, LCD concrete, there's $12,369 for sidewalk replacement.
Yep.
How many did they do for $12,000? That's a lot.
I don't know this. Well, it says 1,591 square feet of sidewalk replaced, tear out and haul away. And then they had an 11 by 16 by 5 concrete pad they tore out and replaced, at the library.
So did it have a price per yard or something?
No, not on the bill, it didn't, that I received.
And, okay. North American Pump right down from LCD concrete for $9,770. Surge tank clean, well, number 6. Where's that at? Page 16 at the second from bottom.
Yeah, they did, they cleaned out on well 6, that include the flow test before the cleaning. And 2 samples in a 24-hour period.
Where's well 6 at?
Oh, I have no clue where well 6 is.
I didn't hear the last question.
Well 6. Where is well 6?
At Little League, I believe.
So we're doing samples down there for some reason? For water for down there?
Well, that's where all our water gets pumped through. That building down there.
So why are we doing samples?
Is that drinking water or?
The well, the main well at the Little League is what pumps the water through the system, correct?
No. That's the old well. There's a new one, I
No,
thought.
there's 2 in there. One they still use, one that they covered up. Remember?
That part is correct, yes.
Yes, so why would they check, why would they clean out a well at the Little League? Is there a well up there somewhere around the Little League fields? I saw them up there weed eating last week around the back of that fence over there.
Yeah,
Maybe that's where, you know.
again, let me check.
Okay. And on page 17, Kaplan Environment, I know it's, says Three Rivers disposal fee for $60,525.
these bills are more than a year old. And Taplin was the one who was, that Three Rivers sent the bill to, which was incorrect. They should have come to us. It was for Taplin, work that Taplin did when we had breaks and they had to transport our sewer. I couldn't get them to bill us. He said, no, we bill the company that hauls the stuff. And I said, well, that's very cumbersome for me. I'd rather get the bill myself. Well, now the question is probably moot because we shouldn't be using Taplin anymore. But yeah, we were paying bills that were accrued last year by Taplin. Taplin actually paid the bill and we reimbursed them.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions from trustees? Okay, it looks to me like normal bills were, what, $288,707.22, and Reef Riley Construction, less retainage was another $303,099. So the grand total of the bills was $591,000.
Hold on, slow down.
807.
303,099.90.
90. Yep.
Total,
591, 807.12.
I'm not used to writing big numbers. Or,
I used the whole page.
yeah,
So is this a final bill for Reed Riley then? Or are we holding back any
For which one?
for Reed Riley?
No, well, be smart. What I'll tell you is they're under budget there, but there is still some work that's left to be done. I don't think it's going to amount to a whole lot of money, but according to Matt Johnson, we're going to be under budget.
So there's a couple things I noticed. On the corner of Orchard and Florence, there's a sidewalk that's not completed from the sidewalk where it is to Orchard Street. Usually they go right to the street. And say there's probably that long. I had someone tell me that walks for their kids and their carts for their strollers and stuff. Well, it used to be, I think, but.
That is going to be required. I know that Marcus has already spoken with Matt Johnson about a punch list, and that should be included in the punch list.
And also striping of the road,
Pardon me?
striping the road.
That I couldn't tell you, whether it's a sunline stripe you mean, or,
Well, they usually have a stripe down the middle for road.
I don't know if that's on any punch list or not. I don't think that there are plans to stripe the road.
Do you know what they did? I had a lot of people asking me this. They tore out the side of the road by the cemetery. They tore out like 6-8 feet of dirt, grass dirt, and kind of plowed it down and then filled it back in. They did that along the road there and then partway down.
Yes, I think that that's correct. Now, next thing that's going to happen is the installation of no parking signs, and I think we're going to have either probably review that as well, and still come in under budget. But yeah, I know that as they did that, they graded and you bring it more in and spread that as well. But whether or not that work itself is done, I couldn't tell you that for
I
sure.
was just trying to figure out why they were doing it.
Whether
I think it was after the road was done, and they went back and graded the, like you said, 6 to 8 feet on the side of the road by the cemetery.
It's where they did all the milling from when they did the regional grinding instead of hauling away. Sorry for speaking out of turn.
Okay, our total bills, 591, 807.12.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $591,807.12.
Is there a second?
Support.
Motion motion by Piper, supported by Denman, to pay the bills in the amount of $591,807. Yes, Beth?
I have one more question, I'm sorry. That Taplin that we're paying at 60,000, that's from last year, that's not when the line broke, when,
There's 3 different events.
but what about when the guy from Three Rivers did something wrong and then?
No, that's not.
That's nothing with that?
Correct.
Okay.
Again, $591,807.12. Chair, I'll entertain a motion to pay those bills.
We already did.
Motion by Piper.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I did have that under Piper and supported by Denman. Any further questions, comments? Okay, call roll, please.
Steers,
Yes.
Denman,
Yes.
Piper,
Yes.
M. Mathers,
Yes.
G. Mathers,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, we're coming up to public comment. I do want to review the meeting rules again real quick for those in the audience. All persons who wish to speak during the public comment, given that opportunity, no person may be allowed to speak more than once. Persons must be recognized by the chair before speaking. Physically able, please go to the podium. Comments must be directed to the chairperson. Comments must be made in a courteous manner, limited to 3 minutes. Please refrain from side conversations that may disrupt or distract from any presentations or official village business. Persons who disrupt the meeting will be asked to cease the behavior or leave the building. Public comment is designed for comments only, not questions, although the chair may grant an exception on a case-by-case basis. And public hearings are scheduled for any number of reasons, a myriad of reasons. There may be time limits, but I remember they have here in 2 minutes. Okay, that said, are there any comments from the public tonight? If so, please go to the podium and state your name.
.360 Florence Road, as long as you're taking notes, they still have the bonnet on the drain. And I see where the homeowner went out and took care of the weeds that were past my kneecaps. I'm wondering, I see we had a successful event this past weekend. I want to say this correctly. Before, it used to be a community effort, and I see a lot of front office help doing these events. I think it's time that the community takes back their responsibilities as becoming a community. These people have enough to do in the front office instead of spending our tax dollars to celebrate. My opinion. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Dr. Shank, 385 South Washington Street. Thank you to the time that a couple of our officers spent in conversation with me next to the park the other day. And one of the things that I unfortunately still hear a lot of, approaching 85, I have very good hearing. So I dug out the zoning ordinance from when I was on the planning commission there, under noise. 1, noise level limits. No operation or activity shall be carried on which causes or creates measurable noise levels which have an annoying or disrupting effect on surrounding properties. Noise emanating from a use in any district shall not exceed the level of ordinary conversation at the boundaries of the lot. Short, intermittent noise peaks may be expected if they do not exceed normal traffic noise peaks at any point on the lot boundaries. Permitted exceptions from the following activities: temporary construction between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., performance of emergency work, warning devices necessary for public safety, such as police, fire, and ambulance sirens and train horns, lawn care and house maintenance that occurs between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So, if you live on the main drag like I do, there's a lot of noise there. Starts about 5 a.m. I don't get up and look out the window to see who's doing that. About 7 a.m. I think it's the traffic to the schools of choice people coming in to get in there in time for breakfast. Those aren't the ones that I'm more concerned about. I'm concerned about motorcycles. They're speeding up and down Washington Street at high speeds, very loud. And I don't know whether loud was the reason why the motorcycle was stopped on the street the other day or not. But Saturday, I think it was, a crappy looking red pickup truck with a very loud muffler came up 4th Street, stopped at Mill, turned the corner, stopped, kept going. I probably heard him 6 or 8 times around in the neighborhood there, beyond the park and out towards the cemetery, with his foot on the floor and his loud muffler going. We don't need that. And so I'm hoping that we can capture some more of those types of noise from our community, particularly the parks where visitors are coming and hearing it too. In the park yesterday, I probably...
Sorry, that's in 3 minutes.
Okay.
So,
I
thank you for your
spent
comments.
probably half an hour cleaning up broken glass from smashed pop bottles. And we don't allow glass bottles in the park. So hopefully we can do some more talking
I
about
noticed
that.
the noise issue. I've been on several ride-alongs with the police department, and unfortunately, unless you sit there all day long, you don't always catch them. But I know they do their best, because, like I said, I've been on ride-alongs where we pulled over to the side and wait a while. But anyhow, we keep trying. I know they're doing their best. So.
Barking dogs too.
Anyone else on that business council?
Hi, Kyle Rimmel, 160 East Clinton Street. Kyle Rimmel. Just more of a question to you guys. I coach Little League and that kind of stuff with the youth down there. Grew up in Constantine, played Rocket football, played Little League. Was wondering, is the Little League board the only one that can determine on who's able to practice and or play tournaments at the field? Do we have to go through them specifically to do that? Or can you guys, is there a way, I know, and I'm going to use Three Rivers for example, Armstrong Park, you are able to rent out those fields, $60 for like 4 hours, so that other teams can come in as far as like travel ball teams and that kind of stuff. The reason being is it might not have went the right way, and it could have been handled a lot different. We have 2 travel ball organizations that are made up of mainly Constantine players, and have been told that we're not allowed to practice down there at all. So my thing is there something that we can do as a village to be able for us travel ball programs to be able to practice at, whether it's softball, baseball, whatever, and let these kids develop so that we can have a strong Little League program in Constantine with girls that are able to play rec league ball on the Little League level and or travel ball as well. And like I said, I know Armstrong a couple weekends ago, it's a park and recs type of situation. So the parks and recs are involved in they own that land, I guess. And I know we lease it to the Little League. I guess that was just a question that I had of
if there's something that we can go about that and get something amended in there to where we could rent out a space for, per year or something along that lines.
Would you give me a call at the office?
Yeah, I can answer his question.
Go ahead.
Real simple. Little League leases the property from the village,
Correct.
which means Little League controls the property. It's their property, considered their property. Little League International forbids travel ball teams from using Little League owned facilities for any travel ball practices or games unless you get written permission from a Little League International. Little League's not stopping you. The village is not stopping you. Little League International is stopping you.
Okay,
And Little League International, you can petition to them, and they can give approval, and then it goes through your district, District 15.
correct.
If District 15 doesn't approve it, and you do it, you will lose your charter, and there will be no more Little League.
Okay, but there's communities around us that.
Armstrong Field is not owned by the Little League.
Correct,
It's
I
separate.
understand that, but we have played in multiple Little League parks around in Michigan, in District 15, that do allow that. And then that
But they're not
goes,
owned by the Little League.
okay, I know of some that are, that we have played at Little League. We just played in Vicksburg Little League, this past weekend, that is owned by Little League.
And they probably
They
had
had-
permission from Little League International.
Okay, so that is different than what you told me at the dollar store.
What did I tell you?
You said that we had to go to the board and get approval by the board.
Right, and then they have
At
to
the
get
Constantine level.
And then they have to get approval.
Okay,
From
and that's
Little
the
League
issue that we're
International.
getting, that's the pushback we're getting it. We're getting it at a board level in Constantine. Okay, now I apologize.
No,
The
they have to say,
communication error.
if you have a board that says, yeah, we'll let you use the field, the process is, they have to contact Little League International and get permission. And then it comes back to the board with approval or non-approval.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with your board. And I can tell you, because I've been in the middle of this for the last 3 months, that those travel ball groups, one of them in particular, has pissed off Little League International so bad, they won't even talk to them again. And the district, because they went
I
about
would
it the
say
wrong
more
way.
at the district level than
Well, I'm just telling you,
international level.
we don't have any control over that because we leased them the property.
Right, but there could be contingencies within the lease after Little League season is over. Correct?
No, because Little League leased the property. The board is in charge of that property. If the board comes in here and asks us to change it, which they just did, we will bring it to a vote and we will decide if we want to change it. But the board has to do that.
Okay, all right, that's all I was asking, that's why I came, so, cool, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Anyone else like to go to the microphone and address council? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Visitor presentations. If we have any visitor presentations tonight? Okay. Unfinished business, page 24, business relocation of AOK Tone.
I gave you a memo about AOK's wanting to transfer,
Is that what this is?
wanting to put in a storage lot in the 600 block of Florence Road of Centerville Street, I'm sure. It would be behind the business, the building that's currently there. Jenny Phillips, the owner of AOK, spoke with Eagle, and Eagle said you do not need a permit to put that storage yard where you want to put it. In other words, it's far enough away from the wetlands that it's not a concern for them. At this moment, Mr. Phillips plans to move the storage yard from its current location to Centerville Street. He plans to maintain his office on Florence Road at least for the time being. Sometime down the road, he plans to put in an office located in the same area as the storage lot. I told him that I don't think that he needs council approval because he's planning on operating a commercial business in the industrial district just as he is now. But Mike Hayden mentioned, well, you know, previously you required him to put in a surface in the lot, in the storage lot. And I told him candidly, I don't remember that, but I can check on it, and if that's the case, I will make sure that he knows that the surface needs to be attended to.
If you remember, when we went through that, State Fuel already had something underneath it that would contain any oil or anything. That's why they didn't have to do anything at the state location, the State Fuel location.
All right.
Yeah, that's,
I will have a conversation with Mr. Phillips, but I guess the first question is, again, I don't think it was critical that he come to you for permission, but do you have any questions of him? He was planning on being here tonight, but he's in West Virginia, so he'll be back in town until tomorrow.
We got the information we needed right here. No pet permit is needed, so I see no problem with it going on.
So you have to have a fence then, or no?
I'm sorry?
Does he have to have a fence for a storage
Yeah.
lot?
Yes, it would be the same rules, he said it probably wouldn't be the plastic stuff we're using now, but there would be a fence there.
So he's moving to Centerville Road.
his
Keeping
storage
both.
lot.
He's keeping both.
He's keeping both.
So the impound storage lot, he plans to move the impound storage lot to 675 Florence.
If I said Florence, it should have said Centerville.
We would need a fence as well as some type of a gravel or something.
I'll check and see what sort of surface he needs, and he will be made aware of it.
Okay.
I make a motion that we allow them to do it as long as they maintain all the rules that they were required to do when they moved into the other place. What you just said,
It
do we
says
need a
that,
motion or not?
says no on the first page, but
It
We
doesn't
don't?
hurt, doesn't hurt to make one.
Alright,
I'll second it.
so yeah, as long as they follow all the rules, I make a motion we allow them to use it.
Okay, I got, Don, you made the motion?
Yep.
And you didn't hear the second?
Eric.
You need a motion, Dash, and you did too?
No, when I get it.
Okay.
King made a motion to move A-OK Towing.
Storage lot,
Oh,
the new location.
Yeah, storage lot to 675 Centerville Road, as long as they get appropriate equipment to operate.
Yep.
Second one by Steers.
Yep.
Further comments, any questions? Just do a roll call.
Enman,
Yes.
Piper,
Yes.
M. Mathers,
Yes.
G. Mathers,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Steers.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, starting on page 27, is the wastewater treatment plant, an update from Mark.
Your package has a memo that says a substantial completion walkthrough was conducted at the treatment plant on September the 9th. And police, Grand River, and Marcus Wolke participated in that walkthrough. The plant was determined to be substantially complete, meaning that it's fully operational with only a punch list remaining. Grand River is working to complete that punch list. We're still not discharging the river, meaning that our sewer is still going to Three Rivers for treatment. We're still waiting for, I like the word still waiting for samples of the effluent to be tested within limits before we can discharge to the river. Until now, the construction company was responsible for the insurance on the plant. but now the coverage reverts to the village. Coverage has been arranged, the cost of which is about $20,000. But as an aside, a tree fell on the new fence last week. I got an estimate from D&D Fence in Sturgis. The estimate is roughly $780, which is less than the deductible, so no claim will be filed for that.
Okay, and it'll be operational, is it operational now?
It is operational, we're just not sending yet.
And we still have no applicants, we're just gonna use police to run it?
No, I still don't have applicants. Police will be running it. They'll
It
provide.
says it's a conflict.
They will provide both the superintendent and an operator, and our DPW will be helping with any maintenance and repairs there in the meantime.
And do we have any idea when we'll be able to discharge into the river?
Every time I make a guess,
Obviously waiting for testing.
they picked up samples today to be tested once again. If those samples come back within range, then
We can start.
we can immediately start to discharge to the river.
So they're able to do everything else, solids and everything, they're good?
Yes. Yep.
Super. Other questions on that? Page 28, Florence Road update.
I told you at the last meeting, or I gave you a memo to the effect that most of the punch list had been completed. The contractor will have to return to finish a few items. One of the last items, apart from the punch list, is the installation of no parking signs. I think I'll have Reeve Friday do that. They have the manpower and the equipment to do it far more quickly than, and efficiently than if it were our DPW. Right now, you already know that we don't have Marcus working, so it's Scott and Terrell and a part-time employee. So if we were to install the signs, it would probably be next summer by the time they were finished. That's tongue in cheek.
Any questions on that? Page 29, Mark, fire station update.
I'd like to bring police and Vanderbilt back again. Want to give an update kind of where we're at right now. We've completed our topographic survey and imported that into our construction drawings, starting that. The hazardous material survey has been done, along with due care plans being worked on. There was a question in regards to being able to take material out of there, and the comment I got back was as long as they're not wrapped with anything or coming outside of the walls that may have asbestos in the walls, that would be okay. So we'll have to talk a little bit more in regards to what material you're looking for and then get the okay on that. So, but we should have the full demolition plans and specs ready by the end of next month, so that it can go out for bid and get that thing taken down.
The end of next month, are you talking about November?
Yes.
Yeah. Any idea what those assessments,
The assessment?
the abatements are gonna cost the village for the hazardous material and the asbestos?
Don't have,
Okay.
say, we had the number, the quotes that we,
Okay.
so it's already been kind of presented and approved, but top of my head, I do not have that number.
So does that put us behind schedule to start when we wanted, or no?
No, I think that's pretty close to where we were. If I can push them a little faster, we'll have it done in 2 weeks, but I'd rather be a little conservative We've also had a meeting with the fire chief and talked about showing the plan that we originally had and have done some modifications to the plan where it lays out a little bit more in regards to what you guys see. On one side is kind of a sketch plan, concept plan. On the back side is the revision to the interior layout. So on the layout of the building, the footprint has not changed. In fact, that apparatus where the trucks are gonna park, it actually did get a little bit wider. I talked with the chief, we wanted to add a little bit more space in between the trucks, or easier to move around, move, you know, the guys that move through and have their gear in between and stuff like that. So the apparatus area did grow a little bit wider. The office staff have been reconfigured. We took what was the break room out and kind of consolidated everything on the east side of the building, and then that allowed the southwest building, the corner of there, to be a nice training area. Can also be used when, you know, like fundraisers and stuff, you know, tables and chairs in there. The kitchen is still has a pretty functional, extra functional kitchen. So for all those pancake breakfasts and stuff like that, you'll be able to take care of all that right there. So since the footprint didn't change, we have not adjusted the budget at this time, based on just the square footage. The next thing that we will get into is really what kind of equipment's gonna be in the fire station, and that will start to adjust the budget in regards to the actual fixtures and equipment needed. So that's where the savings comes in until we actually see what the needs are for construction.
You think construction would start again, say the end of next month or something? Demolition.
No, construction will be, towards the middle, end of next year. We still have to go through the bonding, get all that taken care of. That's gonna be done in the middle, end of December, for all the bonding. We'll have to finish the architectural plans. That's the next stage after we nail down the interior of the building. And then once we have those architectural and construction drawings completed, we'll go out for bid and then break ground in there.
So what about the police, adding for the police station?
Adding for the police. There's been a couple of discussions kind of going in a couple different directions. One as adding to the building, expanding the building to have a larger footprint. There's a lot of things that's kind of in concern of that, which in the original discussion on the police station, it was actually connected by a small breezeway. So it was actually two different buildings with just a small lobby in between. A lot of that goes in regards to development of a police station. They need to have a lot of control of information. There's a lot of privacy that has to be there, evidence and stuff like that. So having it connected to the building is not really a good idea. Having a disconnected building with some sort of connection, that's an opportunity. I mean, it's something that could be done. The budget that we set in the original kind of planning out for that, it was almost a 4,500 square foot police station there with a 4-stall garage. The budget for that was, in 2023 was about 1.2 million. Taking that to 2026 construction, it's about 1.5 million. So shrinking it down a little bit in regards to what the two chiefs talked about, where it could be about potentially 3,200 square foot for the office and, wait, I get my numbers right, 1,400 square foot for the office and 1,800 square foot for the fire department. you're still looking at around, what's my number? You're still looking around in the factor of somewhere of $750,000 to $850,000. And that would be, in essence, a standalone building there.
Okay, so, looking at your garage, you got 7 trucks, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You got 7 trucks to park in here? And you got 8 bays? Why,
Because it's drive-through, so
so how big is that? How big is the bay that you really won't be using?
About the size of a Hummer, I think.
Well, right next to it, should be room for a big old fire truck, so it's gotta be bigger than a Hummer.
well, the smaller ones in the back,
Yeah,
the drawing you're looking at, is the size of the grass trucks, the Expedition Tahoe type size.
and the front 3 are for the big fire trucks.
Yes.
It's gotta be about 40 foot long.
If you see the column marks,
Yeah.
those are about 8 feet each, to give you an idea of perspective and size there. There's also, the reason that is open as well is there's a lot of equipment that's gonna go in there, the school filling station. We're talking about adding in a high capacity truck filling location there. That would be off its own separate well, so that when they bring the trucks in the winter, they can fill them inside, not have to worry about freezing. So there's, while it looks open, there will be some more equipment that will be placed in there. That's just not shown right now.
As an aside, I did speak with Matt Johnson, and I explained to him that I don't want this to be, we don't need engineered drawings, we don't need anything like that, that we should probably look at a private, secondary contractor for the police garage and for the offices inside. We're not eligible to increase our borrowing because it wouldn't be for the fire department, that's what we're going this for. So, we only had brief conversation, as Matt and I did, but he didn't seem to disagree with what I had. I mean, I appreciate what Jason Vanderbrink has done, and I think that we could not have done it without their help, but for the next phase, for the police department, the police station, the garage, I think we can go a different route.
Okay. Any other questions?
So looking on this colored map,
Yes,
okay, the fire station, this is where the trucks are gonna be?
correct.
This way?
Yep.
Correct. Coming in and out, so they will come out and go through here, where it says staff parking, 21 spaces?
No, we reconfigured it a little bit. The trucks will park with back-to-backs. So when they leave, they will go straight out to the west. And then the ones that are facing to the east, they will do a circle. They will turn around, come down that access drive on the east, and then come out onto the main drive. They will return coming in from off of Canal Street. And the ones that park in the front will drive around the building and back in. And the ones that are on the back side of the building will pull to the corner and then back straight in. Backing 2 trucks together is actually a savings in space. There was a question one time, potentially about shifting it or maybe having a single access. The problem with that is you lose dead space behind it. So by lining the 2 trucks up back to back, you're saving about 10 to 12 feet in between there, because you don't have to have both move around maneuverability space behind it.
Any other questions?
Let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
2 months from now, we'll have the surveys.
2 months from now, we will have the demolition, specifications and demolition plans, so that the demolition of the building can go out for bid, have the building taken down.
So is police gonna send out those bids, or are we?
We will
You
send
will?
out those bids.
Okay, what's a hazardous material survey?
Hazardous material survey is, they come in and they do testing on different materials inside the building. Many of the old pipes that have, you look at pipes and it almost looks like a pack, paper wrapped around that. All that insulation inside there is asbestos. Many times, paint on the wall could be lead paint on the wall, the ceiling tiles or the floor tiles could be asbestos. So all of that material, there's samples taken and then run through a lab to make sure what's there and what's not there. So that with the hazardous material survey, that will identify what materials are obviously hazard. And then that goes into the demolition specifications so that a contractor that's bidding on the job will know, okay, I need to worry about, hazmat equipment when I'm taking this down, but all this area over here, I can knock that whole wall down or take the roof out without having to worry about stuff like that.
So is 21 just like a random number? Is that actually how many you have, like total volunteers, everybody?
We have 21 spots in the department. We right now have 18 people.
Okay, thank you.
So we can still construct in 2026?
Yes, that's
Start
the plan, is to
construction
start
in 2026. Okay.
Correct. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Take the update. Next item E, manager search. Could you start on please, start?
That's what we, Kurt Cole, here from Michigan Municipal League. He asked what exactly we were looking for. And I told him, essentially, we're looking for options. I think one of the things the council are gonna wanna know is the difference between the basic search and standard, I think was the.
Typical. Yeah.
And he said, okay, I presume the council would have questions for me, and I said, I presume so. So, Mike, the floor is yours. Mike.
My name is Curtis Holt. I work for the Michigan Municipal League right now. My history is I was a city manager for the city of Wyoming for 27 years. I was in the city of Otsego as a city manager before that for 7 years. 3 years in the city of Cedar Springs and a couple years in the village of Spring Lake, which is where I grew up. So, been in the city manager business a long time. When I retired, the Michigan Municipal League asked if I would help them with searches on the west side of the state, southwest side of the state, and I said I would do that. So in the last couple of years, I've done the city of Parchment, I've done the village of Quincy, near here, and some other bigger ones, Granville, Whalen, and a few others. I just gotta say, it's kind of interesting that I stand here today and I listen to the topics you're discussing, because I'll just tell you, it doesn't matter what size of community you're in. I was in the city of Wyoming for 27 years and 80-some thousand people. We talked about the Little League. We talked about sewers. We talked about fire stations quite often. And there was typical topics of conversation. I will say about sewers, you asked the question, they're usually, infiltration and inflow is pretty common in sewer lines. If you'll hear sewer professionals talk about it as I&I. Storm sewers are connected, usually have two systems. One is a pit system where it will go in and drains into your soils around it. The other system will take it to a water source or a retention area. They're usually separate systems, sanitary sewer and storm sewer. However, there are cities that have connected, or they call that, combined sewers. So it wouldn't surprise me that you have some combined sewers here. It's not uncommon. And if somebody tells you there's not infiltration and inflow, there always is, because you'll get it from groundwater, you'll get it from other sources that'll leak through the joints and will be in your sanitary sewer system, and you'll pay for it. And that's just the way the world works in the sewer world. So, but back to the manager search. So you want to know the difference between basic and typical. So the biggest difference is this: there's a guarantee under the typical search. So if we do a search and it's a typical search, if we hire a manager through the search and that person is here and determines they want to leave within a year, the Michigan Municipal League will redo that search at no cost. So that's the guarantee they provide under typical search. There's some other small things that fall under that. How many visits that I'll make here, that is reduced. It goes from like 4 to 3 or something like that. How much time I'll spend with council versus staff as part of that basic or typical search. Because what'll happen is you decide to hire the lead. I will make contact with your city manager, and I will come here and spend time here talking with your staff, talking with community members, and asking what are the types of strengths, weaknesses that you want to see in your next manager. We'll also talk about what opportunities the community has, what challenges the community has, and we'll go through all of those things with the people we meet with, and about me, that I meet with. We'll put those into a profile, a city manager profile. So the profile will be something that we advertise with. We put out to the manager community. We use multiple different websites and printed sites to do that. The Michigan Municipal League, the International City County Manager Association, the Association of Public Managers, and the list goes on and on. And that's where we'll direct we'll get our applicants from. What'll happen once the applicants come in is I'll spend a couple hours with that person, usually on the phone, and we'll be talking about those challenges and those opportunities and trying to determine how does that person best fit in the Village of Constantine, and are they fit for the Village of Constantine. After I go through that screening process, I will meet with the City Council, and the City Council we'll talk about the candidates, but I will give you a sanitized version of the candidates and only those that meet the qualifications that you said you wanted. And you'll have a chance to pick based upon a number of which candidates you want to talk about. Once you know you've got candidates 3, 4, and 8 who you think are the best fit, then we'll talk about their resume, where they're from, what their background is, and some of those things, because we'll want to keep it completely unbiased through the process. Once you determine you want to interview those candidates, then I will help you create interview questions, and I will set up the interviews for you, and that person you will do the interviews however you choose to do them. Some communities do them at a council meeting, some set up a special council meeting, some do them on Saturdays or whenever that is, but I will set those interviews up based upon your schedule. Once you do the interview, then the council will make a decision. In a decision, you'll do 2 things. You'll indicate that you're making a contingent offer to a candidate, and you'll recommend or you'll appoint somebody from your council or several people to negotiate a contract with that candidate. At the same time you do that, the league will take that person and they'll now run them through a complete background that includes criminal history, financial history, what they say on their resume, is that true? And are they actually that person? And they'll do those kind of things. I will do reference checks based upon the references before we get to the interview. But that other background stuff, the league will do after you select the candidate that you think you want to be your next village manager. So once that's all done, that takes a couple weeks to do. I'll make contact with the village president, let him know that it's okay to hire this person, and then at the next meeting, whatever contract you've negotiated, then you'll approve that contract with that person and set the time frame up for when that person will start. So, any questions based upon that? Yes, ma'am.
You said that a couple people from the council would interview, is that what you were saying?
Well, so,
We have an employee committee, that's why I was just.
okay, so I will tell you, my recommendation is that the entire council interview. And the reason I say that is because that whoever you hire works for the entire council, doesn't work for a
Right.
couple.
Oh, I know that,
And-
maybe I
Okay,
misheard what you were saying, because when I wrote down employee committee, you were saying something that we could pick one or two, or
yeah, I would think the council would do that.
for what?
Would pick the candidates that you choose to interview, and you would do that as a group.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then
Yes.
I thought you said just a couple.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, what I meant for a couple of candidates, when you decide to choose a candidate, and you said you've made a contingent offer, the council can establish a committee to negotiate that contract with that person. Okay? The entire council doesn't have to do that, but that can be a committee of the council to do that. Yes, sir.
Mark, this question is directed towards you. Didn't we have a citizens committee when you were chosen?
No, you did.
Well, the Webb Carlson, you had Deb Oswald, and they made a recommendation to the council. Angie, you'd be the only one that could verify that, looking around the room, maybe Michael.
Todd, let me finish. You did when I was hired to be the police chief,
Okay,
not for the village manager.
very well, okay.
Okay?
Any other questions? Back in the back.
Just from start to finish, what's the timeline?
Well, it pretty much depends upon how long it takes to complete the profile. So what'll happen is I will take the input that I get from the Village of Constantine, I will put that in a profile. I will send it back to you, and I will say, does this work? Is it good? Is it wrong? Where does it need to be fixed? I will make those fixes. I will send it back again, and I will want to make sure that your council and your current manager say that that is right. It's ready to go. I will then turn it over to Lee. They'll put it in a pamphlet form. I'll need pictures and things from the Village Council to Constantine, and then we'll put it out. And usually it's on the street for about 30 days. And I like to do my interviews of candidates during the 30 days as I receive them. So as quickly after the 30 days as possible, I can meet back with the Village Council and talk about who they want to interview. So again, depending on length of time it takes to get the original profile done, that's usually the longest part. I also encourage villages like Constantine that are smaller to do interviews as quickly as possible. Mainly because a lot of these candidates, especially in smaller communities, are applicants for other positions. And if they're applicants for other positions, then if that other position pops up and makes an offer before you get a chance, that candidate is gone. And so I like to move that as quickly as I can. I will also say this, in all fairness, that I don't know the wage structure here, but I will tell you that wages are exploding in government positions. And that in order to be competitive in the market, you better be competitive in the wage scale. So I'll give you an example of the Village of Quincy. So when we did their search, they indicated they wanted to be in like a $70,000 range. So I looked around and I said, so where do those candidates come from that would apply for that job? So I looked at assistant managers in the area, and I found that the average wage for an assistant manager in southern Michigan was something like $88,000 or $90,000. So then I said, let's widen the search and let's look at small village managers, and again, in southern Michigan, small city managers, and again, that wage scale was somewhere in the 90s. So I'm not going to attract a person that's making already more than what you want to offer to come work for your community. It's just not going to work. People aren't going to make that move. So we've got the wage issue is a very important issue on how you're going to get somebody to come to work for the Village of Constantine. And we're going to have to look at that closely, and the council's going to have to understand that we're going to have to look at wages that are attractive enough to make somebody want to come here.
I agree what you said, but I also know that we have a budget, And
Oh,
we
listen,
have to.
I lived with budgets for 40 years, so
Yeah,
I know exactly how it
Do
works.
what's right for the village, even though somebody might come in and want 90, but can we
Well,
afford that right now?
I guess what I'm saying is, it's gonna, whatever the wage, I don't know, I'll have a wage comparison done for the village of Constantine. If you choose the league to do this, I will do a wage comparison. You will have it, you'll be able to see it, you'll be able to know what the comparisons are and know what those wages are. Once you determine that you wanna move forward, if you're out of sync with that, it's gonna be very hard to get applicants. Yes, sir?
Yes, with your experience, how many villages don't have village managers?
Depends on size again. You know, most, a village of this size, all of them have village managers. Quincy has
White
village.
Pigeon is.
No, they don't.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm saying, I'm looking at skewed when you massage the two from what you're telling me and what my experience tells me, that we're somewhat less than that, if that's my opinion. But, okay.
Trustees, any questions for our speaker?
No, but I have a proposal for the council.
Okay.
This, I thought he was done, I'm sorry.
I think,
I'm done.
if there's no more questions from council. Okay.
I think he's got one, just pass him around. Make sure everybody gets one.
Together, I guess.
There.
Yep.
There's two things, one staple, one single. Everybody got one?
No,
You don't need one.
you want me to make notes?
All right, so I would like to propose to the council that we consider looking at and evaluating if we need a manager or not. Do we need a full-time manager? Do we need a part-time manager? Or do we need a clerk? Like some of the other small communities, Colwyn, Centerville, White Pigeon. Okay, so what I propose is on this paper basically, and just, I'm not saying we shouldn't use them, but I think this should happen first, and this is just my opinion. We have, what I think we should do is we should bring somebody in to assess what our needs are. Do we need a full-time manager or not? Okay, if you read through all this, it's a whole lot of stuff, but really what it comes down to is, I think we should consider somebody to come in and do an evaluation and give us a recommendation on how to go forward. I have no idea what a village manager needs to do in this town. A lot of us don't, because we're new at this, okay? And Mark, I'm not saying you ever did anything wrong. I'm not saying that we need to look at what you did. I'm saying, I want somebody to tell me what I need to know a village manager is gonna do. That's what I'm asking. And like Centerville and like Colwyn and like these other smaller towns, they don't have a full-time manager. If we need one, then we need one. If we need a part-time manager where we share it with another small village and save some money, then we do that. Centerville has a clerk, and they're not any smaller than us. And their cost for their village is a lot less than ours. When it comes to their DPW, what their DPW does, they don't have a full-time manager that they pay. So in that, I talked to Chief Thayer and asked him if he would do it. He doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to give up the time he needs to run the police department. But he recommended a friend of his that he knows very well. He wrote a letter that everybody needs to read. He would come in, he would evaluate everything, sit with Mark for a month or whatever Mark needs, figure out what Mark does, evaluate what each individual person does in the office, basically what they did. But his recommendation to us would be you do need a full-time manager. He has experience in management in large companies, so he knows what he's doing. And I'm not saying this is the only guy we should ask. This is just a recommendation. Because personally, I don't think we need a full-time manager. But I want somebody to tell me that I'm wrong and we do need a full-time manager. Because a part-time manager can't do the work, or a clerk can't do the work. Now that we have major projects kind of finished. Now, some of the council members are very content that we definitely need a manager. Explain to me what the manager does and sell me on why we need one. And I'm not saying we don't need one. I want somebody independently to come in here, sit down and figure out what we need and recommend it to us. And if he says we need a manager, call this guy up and start the search. But when he brings in candidates, I can ask him, can you do this? What would you do with this? How would you handle this? I can't do that now, because I have no clue what he does. How can we upgrade our water system to where we can pay it online? Can we do that?
Yes, you can. Right now you can.
No, I can't. There's no website that I can go on to see my water bill like other towns and pay my water bill.
We have actually been checking into that.
Yeah, we've been checking into it since I've been on the council.
No, I mean, recently, me and Shelley.
That's just an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm just
Listen,
saying we have.
I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. What I am saying is, we need to look at where we spend money, especially with the DPW. Because other DPWs that I talk to do a hell of a lot more than ours does. They pour sidewalks in White Pigeon. They do a lot more than we do. They cut trees in White Pigeon. They don't hire people. They fix their own storm drains in White Pigeon with their own backup. We don't do that. Now, if our DPW can't do that, then what do we need to do to move to where we can train them where they can do that? That's all I'm asking. And I know it's a big decision.
Can I add a couple things?
Sure.
So there are a lot of communities out there that share managers, and it's not an unusual thing that happens. So, you know, the city that I'm in right now, Stanton, which is a city of 1,000 people, they used to, they went away from it, share a manager with the village of Lakeview. So it's not uncommon. When I was in Spring Lake and Ferrysburg combined most of their services, including the village services, to do it. So it's not an unusual thing, and I don't think it's an unusual question. I don't know who this person is, but I would urge you to maybe look to people who do have experience with cities, because as much as the business community out there believes cities should run like businesses, it's not necessarily true. And I'll say this in a couple different ways. I had a water plant in the city of Wyoming that pumped was capable of pumping 120 million gallons a day, and we got our water from Lake Michigan. The average daily use was 35 million gallons a day. But I had a capacity of 120. You know when that capacity was used? In the middle of July, when everybody wanted to sprinkle. Now, if I was a business, would I pump 120 million gallons a day? No, I'd probably set my plant and all that extra costs at about 45 million a day, because that would maximize my earning potential. The same is true of a fire department. I had 3 ladder trucks in my fire department. $1.5 million a piece, replaced them every 5 to 8 years. You know how many times those ladder trucks got pulled for a fire? One ladder truck? Maybe once every 5 years. But if I don't have it, I'm in big trouble. So we're not a business, we're a government. We're here to provide service. So when you look at the services that you provide, I think it's important that you have somebody that understands the knowledge of those services and how they work versus how you maximize the cost. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not against looking at the office and how you work, there's manager clerks out there, there's all kinds of different scenarios. And I'm not against that you should look at it, I'm just saying, if you look at it, make sure you have somebody who's has some knowledge of it, look at it.
So I have two questions. Is the municipal, or Michigan Municipal League a business or a government entity?
It's actually an association of local government, so it's not either, it's an association. You're part of that by paying dues to it.
Okay, and how many times have you recommended or said that they could split a manager or didn't need a manager at all? And you're kind of doing
I
this.
have never done that, but I'm just telling you what I've seen in my experience.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not questioning that we need a manager. I'm questioning, I want somebody to recommend to us and explain to us what our manager takes care of before we decide whether we want a full-time manager.
Yeah, and I'm
And
not
again-
arguing that point at all.
Okay, and what I'm telling you is, I understand there's a difference between the business and the government, but I also understand that they are also tied together. Government is a business, because financially, we need to look at how we spend our money, because in the
Absolutely.
future, you know, there could be an opportunity where we don't have the money to spend. We just completed some major projects, right? And I think they had to be done. I didn't agree with the cost, but I understand that we had to do it. What I want is I want somebody to come in here with experience in management and business, and anybody that runs a company is politics. We're politicians. Nobody wants to admit that, but we're all in politics. I just want it doesn't have to be this guy. Find somebody else. Interview. I was gonna suggest we bring this guy and interview him and ask him questions. And if he's not the right guy, look for somebody else.
I like that.
I like his qualifications and his,
But I wanna know, with all due respect, everybody in this room, I wanna know, do we need 4 guys in the DPW? Do we need a village manager, a full-time manager? Because Centerville financially is way ahead of us, and they don't have one.
Looks a lot nicer too.
I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, I just want somebody that's unbiased, that's not, with all due respect to you, sir, not trying to sell us on hiring them to get us a manager to tell us what we need. And then, if he recommends you need a full-time manager or a part-time manager, call this guy and start the process. Put a time limit on it, give him 60 days. Mark's not done until officially February, correct? That's when your official wanna leave.
That's the target date.
Right.
February.
Do this for 60 days. If this guy comes back and says, hire a manager, we still have until the end of February to hire a manager.
I think it's a good idea. I really do.
Just do an evaluation. And I'm not talking about, I think somebody took money. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anybody's done anything illegal or anything wrong. But I think we need a legitimate, independent evaluation of what we need compared to other villages. Have this guy go talk to Centerville and say, hey, how do you handle this stuff? Go to Cole and ask that last white pigeon. How do you do it without a manager? And see if we can do it. Because that would save us a lot of money over time. Because eventually, we're gonna run out of money. And we can't keep charging more for our services and expect people to stay here if we keep doing it that way. And every time you bring up, who's supposed to do this? Well, since 1979, the DPW hasn't done that, so we're not doing it. We can't keep operating like this. People are gonna get tired of it. I'm tired of it. I want somebody to tell me, as a council member and as a citizen of Constantine, what we need. And then, we go and take care of it. That's my opinion.
I think this person should also interview each department, just to figure out exactly what each department does, and recommend either changes or of each department, or just a reference of what everybody does. I'm not saying come in and change everything,